Arsenal are through. Two 16-year-olds started, and one journalist just compared a teenager to the greatest player who ever lived. Welcome to Andy Gunners Live. I'm Andrew. Before we go anywhere, make sure you are subscribed, notifications are on, and drop a comment below telling me what you thought of Max Dowman today. Because after what I watched this afternoon, I have a lot to say. Stay with me right until the end, because we are going to break down everything. The match, the kids, the injury concerns, the Eze moment, and what it all means going forward. Let's go. Arsenal are in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Mansfield Town pushed us harder than a lot of people expected. The final score was 1-2, and Mikel Arteta's men did what they needed to do on a cold Saturday afternoon in Nottinghamshire. But the story of this game is so much bigger than a scoreline. The story of this game is a 16-year-old boy named Max Dowman who walked into the oldest ground in the Football League, surrounded by noise and pressure and history, and played like he has been doing this his entire life. Because in many ways, he has. Let me set the scene first. One Call Stadium, Field Mill, the oldest Football League ground still in use in England, packed to the absolute rafters with Mansfield supporters who had every right to believe this was their day. This is a club that has knocked out Sheffield United, knocked out Burnley, and reached the 5th round of the FA Cup for the first time since the 1974-75 season. For context, that is over 50 years, half a century. The whole town was alive, the whole ground was rocking, and Mikel Arteta walked in with 9 changes from the side that beat Brighton in midweek. 9 changes. That tells you everything about where Arteta's priorities sit right now. Arsenal are in the business end of a Premier League title race. They have Bayer Leverkusen coming in the Champions League, and the manager made the decision that this cup tie, while important, was not the moment to risk his key men. Declan Rice was rested, Martin Zubimendi was rested, Gabriel Magalhaes was rested, David Raya was rested, Martin Odegaard, who has been managing a knee issue, did not travel. The squad that stepped out onto that pitch was a genuine mixture of fringe players, experienced rotation options, and 2 teenagers who between them are 32 years old. 2 teenagers in a starting lineup in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Marley Salmon, 16 years old, starting at centre-back in an FA Cup 5th round tie at a ground where the home crowd wanted blood. And Max Dowman, 16 years old, 123 days since his last appearance for this football club, given the start and trusted to perform on a stage that would have swallowed many far more experienced players whole. Arsenal became the first Premier League club in history to start a competitive match with 2 players aged 16 or under. Let that sink in. Not just any match. A cup tie, away from home, against the League One side on a genuine cup run. The first time it has ever happened in Premier League history. These are not just numbers. This is a genuine moment in the story of this football club. And before a single ball was kicked, history had already been made. The formation Arteta lined up in was a 3-4-3. Kepa in goal, a back 3 of Salmon, Mosquera and Calafiori. Norgard and Havertz in central midfield, Trossard and Madueke providing the width, and a front 3 of Martinelli, Jesus and Dowman. On paper, it looked interesting. In practice, the first half was a more complicated picture than Arsenal supporters were hoping for. Mansfield were not here to make up the numbers. Nigel Clough, 59 years old, nearly 30 years in football management, over 1,500 matches in the dugout, set his side up with absolute clarity of purpose. They pressed aggressively, they were physical, they made Arsenal uncomfortable in possession. They created chances. The Mansfield goalkeeper, Liam Roberts, was not just a bystander in this game, he was genuinely busy. But Mansfield's chances at the other end told a real story too. A League One side was genuinely testing an Arsenal side in an FA Cup 5th round, and for large portions of the first half, you could see why the home crowd dared to dream. Then things got more complicated. Leandro Trossard, one of Arsenal's most creative and reliable performers this season, went down in the 35th minute holding his calf. He tried to continue, he could not. He came off and was replaced by Piero Hincapié, the 23-year-old Ecuadorian left-back currently on loan from Bayer Leverkusen. With Trossard gone, Arteta was forced to abandon the 3-4-3 system and reorganise into a back 4. That disruption knocked the rhythm out of Arsenal's play for a period, and you could see players adjusting, repositioning, recalibrating. But 6 minutes before half-time, the moment Arsenal needed arrived. Gabriel Martinelli drove forward and forced a good save from Roberts. The ball broke. Noni Madueke, showing the composure and technique that has made him such a productive signing since his move from Chelsea, picked up the loose ball on the edge of the area and curled it beautifully into the top corner. 1-0, Arsenal ahead. The goal was Arsenal's 100th of the season across all competitions. A landmark moment, though, on a day like this. No one was stopping to celebrate the milestone. There was a football match to be managed, and it nearly came undone almost immediately after the interval. 5 minutes into the second half, a Marley salmon pass back to Kepa was under hit. Loose, Will Evans, who had come on at half-time for Mansfield, read it instantly. He drove onto it, rounded Kepa's attempted clearance, and kept his composure to slot the ball home. 1-1, the crowd inside Field Mill erupted, and suddenly Arsenal were in a proper fight. I want to be honest here, for a stretch of that second half, Mansfield were the better side. Their energy was enormous, their belief was real. Arteta's body language on the touchline said everything. He was not comfortable. His team was in a genuine battle. He turned to his bench, 62 minutes. Eberechi Eze came on. Urian Timber came on. Arteta was going for it. He needed experience, quality, and a match-winning moment. And Eze, as he seems to do in FA Cup football, delivered. 4 minutes after coming on, a ball played into his feet on the edge of the area. A quick swivel, a moment of absolute stillness in the middle of absolute chaos. And then a rocket. Top right corner, Kepa could not have saved it. A Mansfield defender could not have blocked it. It was hit too hard, too true, and too well. The travelling Arsenal support behind the goal went absolutely wild. 1-2, Arsenal in front, and they held on. Now let's talk about the thing everyone is talking about. Max Dowman, 16 years old. 123 days since his last appearance for this football club. His last game was the Champions League group stage at Slavia Prague back in November, where he became the youngest Arsenal player ever to appear in a Champions League match. Since then, he has been sidelined with an ankle injury. 123 days of waiting, rehabilitation, and patience. And today was his return. And he was extraordinary. Let me give you the numbers first, because the numbers do not lie. A SofaScore rating of 7.4, the third best of any Arsenal player on the pitch today. The most dribbles completed of anyone in the Arsenal side, 4 from 6 attempts. The most shots of anyone in the Arsenal side, 5. 1 big chance created, 2 key passes for a player who missed over 4 months of football, returning against a physical, aggressive League One side in an FA Cup 5th round. Those are remarkable statistics. But statistics only tell part of the story. What I watched today was a 16-year-old who plays football the way very few people on this planet can. There is something about the way Max Dowman moves with the ball that is genuinely different. His center of gravity is low. His change of direction is sharp and instinctive, not rehearsed. When he receives the ball, he is always facing forward, always looking to make something happen. He forced Roberts into a genuinely good save early on. He dribbled past his marker multiple times in multiple areas of the pitch, under physical pressure from experienced professional footballers who are several years older and considerably more powerful. He did not shy away. He did not hide. He attacked space. He demanded the ball, and he made things happen on a pitch where many senior players in Arsenal colours were far less influential. And then there is the comparison. Daily Mirror journalist Ryan Taylor watched what the rest of us watched today, and he chose his words carefully. He called it absurd. He called it ridiculous. And then he wrote it anyway. He said, there are shades of Lionel Messi in Max Dowman's dribbling style. The touches, the jinks, the nutmegs, the low centre of gravity, the instinctive forward drive. Ryan Taylor is a professional journalist. He knows what he is saying. He knows how those words land. And he wrote them anyway, because what else do you write when a 16-year-old is doing things on a football pitch that you have only seen one other player do consistently, repeatedly, and at the very highest level? Let me be clear about something. I am not standing here and telling you Max Dowman is Lionel Messi. Nobody is saying that. Nobody rational is saying that. Messi is the greatest footballer who has ever lived. That title is not transferable. It is not a baton that gets passed to the next small left-footed dribbler who comes along with a low centre of gravity and quick feet. It took Messi 2 decades of absolutely relentless, mind-bending brilliance to earn that title. And no 16-year-old, no matter how extraordinary his talent, can be compared to that body of work. But here is what I am saying. Ryan Taylor is not wrong about the similarities. The movement patterns are there. The instinct to drive into defenders rather than away from them is there. The ability to shift his weight at speed and change direction without losing the ball is there. The low body position that makes it almost impossible for a defender to win the ball cleanly without fouling, that is there. You cannot coach those things. They are physical gifts. They are natural attributes that either exist or they do not. And in Max Dowman, they exist in abundance. Arsenal fans saw it today. One supporter said that purely on ability and playing style, Dowman is Messi's understudy, and that they would want Arteta's head if he turns him into a wide robot who just holds width and crosses. Another supporter put it simply. They said no player will ever repeat what Messi did, but they cannot deny that Dowman's dribbling is similar and exceptional. Similar dribbling, exceptional. At 16, after 4 months out injured, Mikel Arteta spoke after the game. He described Dowman as exceptional. He specifically highlighted the way Dowman handles the ball at speed, the timing of his touches, the way he uses space, the quality of his decision-making. He said it was just incredible. And then he pointed to the broader picture, 2 16-year-olds in his starting lineup, something that has never happened in Premier League history in a competitive match. He said he was really proud of them. And he should be, because what those 2 young men did today, on that stage, in that atmosphere, with all of that pressure, it was not nothing. It was genuinely impressive. Let me also acknowledge Jayden Dixon, the 18-year-old defender who came on as a substitute and made his Arsenal debut. Another academy product. Another sign of what this club is building beneath the surface of the first team. Dixon is 18. He played professional football for Arsenal Football Club for the first time today. His career starts now. Now we need to talk about the injury concerns because they are real and they are important given what is coming next. Leandro Trossard came off in the 35th minute with a calf problem. Arteta said after the match that it was a niggle and that he was not comfortable to continue. Ricardo Calafiori also came off in the second half with what Arteta also described as a niggle. Kai Havertz was also withdrawn around the 60-minute mark, though Arteta described that as precautionary given the midfielder has only recently returned from his own injury absence. Martin Odegaard, the captain, was not involved today and is managing a knee issue. William Saliba is carrying a knock. Ben White remains sidelined with an undisclosed injury. Mikel Merino has had foot surgery and is almost certainly done for the season. I want you to understand the picture here. Arsenal are heading into a Champions League last 16 tie against Bayer Leverkusen with a significant portion of their senior squad carrying injuries or fitness doubts. This is the moment in the season where squad depth becomes everything. But right now, tonight, the conversation is not about the quarter-final draw. The conversation is about a boy from Arsenal's academy who came back from 4 months on the treatment table, walked into the oldest football league ground in England and played football that a seasoned professional journalist compared to the greatest player who has ever lived. Max Dowman is not finished developing. He is 16. He has barely started. But today was not a question. Today was an answer. The answer was yes. Yes, yes. At 16 years old, coming back from injury, in an FA Cup 5th round tie, he was one of the best players on the pitch. Not one of the best young players. One of the best players. Full stop. Arsenal are in the last 8 of the FA Cup. Arsenal have made history with the youngest starting pair in Premier League history. Arsenal have an Eberechi Eze who simply knows how to win football matches in this competition. And Arsenal have a 16-year-old who moves like no one you have seen in an Arsenal shirt since the days of Thierry Henry and his pomp. What a day. What a club. This is Andy Gunners Live. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and leave a like. It helps more people find this channel and be part of the conversation. Drop a comment below and tell me your honest rating for Max Dowman today. Was the Messi comparison absurd, or was it the most accurate thing a journalist has written about an Arsenal player in years? I will be back very soon with the FA Cup quarter-final draw reaction and the full build-up to Bayer Leverkusen. I am Isaac. This has been Arsenal Update. We will talk soon.